Hello everyone, welcome to Come Sit at My Table. We're Tom and Melissa, and we appreciate you being here. Today we are making a breakfast casserole. Now, during the holiday season, during Thanksgiving and Christmas, you cannot go wrong with a good breakfast casserole. This one is very simple to put together, and you can really add to it if you want to make it the way you like it. But this is a very simple version of it. This is the way I got it when I got this recipe probably 40 years ago. I do occasionally change it up a little bit, and we'll talk about that as we go along. But today I'm just doing the basic recipe so that you'll see the easiest way to do it. Now this recipe is in our cookbook. It is on page 225, and it's called Hash Brown Breakfast Casserole. It is the simple version. Just remember, you can always add to it if you want to add other things. This is a breakfast casserole that our kids absolutely loved when they were growing up. We would often have this for dinner as well as breakfast. We could put this together, not bake it, just put it together and put it in the refrigerator. And then when we were ready for it, we could throw it in the oven and bake it. And we had it for dinner probably as often as we had it for breakfast. Our kids loved the leftovers, heated up or even eaten cold straight out of the refrigerator. So this is a great little casserole. It's something that's good to have during Thanksgiving or Christmas. It's easy to put together the night before and have ready to bake the next morning if you have company or if you're just having it for your family. All right, let's talk about what we're going to use to make our hash brown breakfast casserole. We are going to start with shredded hash browns. Pardon me. The recipe in the book calls for 3 cups. That's what the original recipe called for when I got it years and years ago. Now they have a 26-ounce bag of shredded hash browns, and that 26-ounce bag has just a little over 3 cups. I use the whole bag. It won't hurt a thing if you put a little extra hash browns in there. So if you want to measure it out and use 3 cups, you can do that. But I'm just using the whole 26-ounce bag because what am I going to do with an extra half cup of hash browns? We're also using 1 pound of sausage. Now you can see that I'm using mild because that's what Melissa and I like. But if you like spicy or you like medium, then use it. You use what you like. I'm using 1 medium onion that I have diced up. Now this is where you can make this casserole your own. Many times I add a diced pepper, green pepper, red pepper, yellow pepper, it doesn't matter. A lot of times I will add a diced pepper in with the onion and sausage as it's frying. Sometimes I add in mushrooms. I don't do that often because Melissa's not a huge fan of mushrooms. She will eat them, but that's not her favorite thing in the world. But we have put mushrooms. Just cut up the mushrooms, put them in the skillet, and let them cook with the onions and the sausage. Anything, jalapenos. Now, we don't put jalapenos in a lot because we don't like the heat, but I know people who do, so you can put in jalapenos. Anything that you would put into something like an omelet, you can add into this. But today, we're only using the onions. Okay, we're also going to use 4 cups of shredded mild cheddar cheese. If you want to use sharp, you can do that. You choose what you like. We're using mild. Pardon me. Kentucky allergies are killing me. There's our oven. It's preheated to 350 degrees. We're going to use 1 dozen eggs. We're going to whisk those together with 2 cups of whole milk, 2 teaspoons of garlic that is minced, and 1/2 teaspoon of pepper and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. That's it. That's the whole recipe. Now, I have sprayed my 9x13 casserole dish, and all we're going to do is, we're going to start anyway, by putting our hash browns in that dish. So I'm just going to cut this bag open, And we're going to dump those in there. This is just a hair more than 3 cups, but that's okay. We're just going to spread those out in an even layer. And once we have those spread out, we will go on to browning our sausage and our onions. If you want to press these down a little bit, you can. You don't have to do that. The eggs will work themselves right in around that. So that's up to you. The next thing, and we're just going to leave this sit here. The next thing we're going to do is brown our sausage and our onions. So we're going to go to the stove. We'll open up that sausage. And we will put it right in our skillet. This is a Lodge. I think they call this a casserole dish. I call it a skillet because it's the size of a skillet. But I think Lodge calls it a casserole dish. So we're just going to put our sausage right in there. And we're going to turn our fire on. And we're going to add our onions right in with that. Sure we get all those out of there. And we will start chopping our sausage up and letting it brown. Now we have to cook this until there is no pink left. Even though we are going to bake this, we do want to make sure that that sausage is done before we put it in, because it's going to render some fat, some grease. And we want to drain that off there before we put it in our casserole. So just chop it up, let it cook, let it fry, and when there's no pink left, make sure you drain it well. Our sausage and onions have fried. The sausage is no longer pink and it's chopped up. If you don't have one of these little meat choppers, you really should consider getting one. They are really handy to have when you're working with hamburger or sausage or any kind of ground meat, ground chicken or ground turkey. It just really makes it easy to chop it up as you're frying it. Melissa, can you put a link on the video to that?
Yes.
Okay, now I was going to drain the grease off, but there's just not any. You can see there, the skillet's dry. There's just not any grease. So I don't have to drain that. So we're going to turn our fire off, and we will go over to our hash browns and just add these right on top of our hash browns. Are you ready, babe? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go. I'm just going to dump it in, and then I will spread it out. Let me get my spoon. We don't want to waste that. It's too good to waste. So I'm going to just rake all that out of there. Put this back over on the stove. And now I'm just going to spread it out as evenly as I possibly can over our potatoes. You're not going to be able to get it perfect, but that's okay. Just spread it out as much as you can. You want every bite to have a little bit of the sausage in it. Okay. And some onion. Now we're going to add our cheese. And we're adding all of this, 4 cups. So I'm just going to dump it on. Looks like a lot of cheese. And it is. But when it melts, it won't look like so much. We're just going to move that around. Get as much of that down in there as we possibly can. And then I will kind of settle it. Just kind of push down a little bit to help settle it so we have room for our eggs and milk mixture. And if you can see there's some low spots, just move some of your cheese around. That's okay. All right. So we have that all in. Now, let's go to our eggs. my beautiful sous chef has helped me start the eggs. So I'm going to finish those. I have 2 more eggs to put in. And I am breaking them in another bowl because you just never know. You might get a piece of shell or you could get a bad egg. So I always break them into a separate bowl and then move them over. And one of our eggs had a double yolk, didn't it, babe?
It did. Those were pretty big size eggs.
Yeah. I think they're extra large. No, they're jumbos. No wonder they're
big.
So big. Okay, so we're going to add our 2 cups of milk. And then we're going to add in our garlic. 2 teaspoons of garlic. There's 1 and 2. We're about out of garlic. I'm going to have to get another jar.
We use a lot of garlic.
We do. Now, if you want to add some onion powder, that would be really good in here too. It's up to you. If you want to add that, feel free to do that. All right, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And now all we're going to do is whisk that together. So that's going to take just a minute, but it won't take long. You just want to make sure all those egg yolks especially, are broken up and incorporated. You can tell when it becomes smooth and that it's all mixed up, especially those egg whites. You want to make sure that they're not in long strings. You just want to make sure that they're mixed up well. Now you can see that the color has changed because those egg yolks have all broken and they are mixing in well. Now, if you want any other spices in here, you can certainly do that. If you want to put in some Italian seasoning or, you know, whatever you have that you want to use, you can do that. I'm just doing a basic recipe today so you can see how easy this can be to put together. All right. Now, we're just going to drizzle this slowly. We don't want it to run over, so we have to give it time to soak down in. We're just going to pour it over our casserole and let it just soak down in there. You just want to make sure that you get some all over the casserole. Make sure you're not going to be able to get it even, but you know, when you pour it on there, it's going to kind of level itself out when it soaks down in. So don't worry too much about trying to get it even, but you do want to make sure that you've poured some over the whole casserole. All right, just about all in. Now, this is the point where you can refrigerate it if you want. You can cover it with some plastic wrap, put it in your refrigerator, leave it overnight, and bake it the next morning if that's what you'd like to do.
Do you remember when we used to make this for our kids at school for the breakfast that we would have the Friday before the Kentucky Derby?
Absolutely. We always had a derby party for our kids at school.
We made bunches of these and baked them the morning of.
Oh, yeah. And they loved this. They would, every year they would say, Mr. Wyatt, my sister told me you always make a breakfast casserole and bring for Kentucky Derby. Are you bringing that breakfast casserole?
Gosh, we've made so many of those over the years.
No, I couldn't even tell you how many we've made. And, you know, this will feed, well, if you're feeding kids, this would easily feed 12 to 15. So, you know, when you've got over 100 kids in 5th grade, it takes a bunch of these. Okay. So our oven is preheated to 350. We're going to bake it for 50 minutes, about 50 minutes. I'll start watching it a little early because as we know, our oven is very hot. So it may bake a little faster, but for the most part, it's going to take about 50 minutes. You'll know when it's done because it's going to be golden brown on top. It will still be just a little jiggly right in the center, but as it sits, that center will firm up. It will continue to cook and that will firm up. So you don't want to bake it until it's completely, feels like it's completely done in the middle, or you've overbaked it and the eggs may get a little tough. So about 50 minutes, and then we'll be back and we're gonna have this for dinner. Our casserole baked for exactly 50 minutes. We took it out of the oven and we have let it sit for about 30 minutes just so it comes together. When I took it out of the oven, it was puffed probably that far above the pan, which is normal. It's like that every time we've ever made it. But as it cools, the eggs kind of settle back down, and you can see that it's ready for us to scoop out. What did you say to me before we turned the camera on?
I said a lot, but...
You said, I love this casserole.
I do love this casserole. We've had this a lot over the years.
We sure have.
I really like it with fruit, too. It pairs really well with some fruit in the morning.
Sure does.
Or for dinner like we're having it tonight.
Look at that. Yum. Eggs, sausage, onions, and potatoes. That can't be bad. All right, babe. Are you taking the first bite?
I would love to.
It's still hot, even though it's been out of the oven for probably 30 minutes or a little longer. Try not to burn you.
All right. That'll be good.
Okay. That's a big bite, sorry.
Oh my goodness.
Is it hot?
Mm-hmm. But
too hot? Sorry. Yum. Hang on a minute. I had a cough drop in my mouth. I'm telling you, this time of year, my allergies just go crazy. So I live on cough drops this time of year in Kentucky.
You shoved in my mouth.
We call it the Kentucky crud. What, Melissa?
That was a huge bite you just shoved in my mouth. Oh, it was really good though.
We are having this for dinner tonight with fruit. Oh, I bet that's hot.
It's not too bad.
It's hot, but it's not bad. So good. Really, that's an entire meal. It's eggs and meat and potatoes. That's your whole meal right there. Put a little fruit with it, you're ready. Her kids are going to be so upset when they know we made this and they weren't coming over. Thank you for watching our video. We do appreciate it. If you would, we'd appreciate you going right below this video and clicking the like button. If you haven't before, click that subscribe button, the little notification bell beside of it, and the word all. That way you'll be subscribed to our channel and you'll never miss another video. Also, right below this video where you see the title of this recipe, Hash Brown Breakfast Casserole, if you'll click in that box anywhere, that box will expand. You'll find the written recipe. Melissa always puts it there for you. Our contact information is under that. There will be a link where you can order our cookbook if you would like to have a copy or give a copy as a gift. And there's a place at the bottom of the screen where you can leave a comment. We really do enjoy reading your comments, so we invite you to leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching our video. We do appreciate it. We want you to remember that you are always welcome to come sit at my table. And we wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. Have a great day.